alike across the globe for over 50 years. We're honored today. He officially adds VeeamOn to his impressive list of projects. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one, the only, the captain of captains, Mr. William Shatner. William, come on out. Sit down?
Sit? Okay.
Okay. You can lay down if you want to.
Well, that's more like a psychiatric session.
Yeah, no, I'd be the one laying down. Yeah. So, nice to meet you.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks. Thanks. We haven't had really a chance to chat.
So, we should chat right here.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. So, what do I call it? Mr. Shatner? Bill? William? Sir? Sir? All right. So, Bill? Okay. All right. Where did you grow up?
I feel I've never grown up. I've got the adolescent mind still. I was born in Montreal, went to McGill University, and was interested in theater from the very beginning. And so I was an actor, never did anything else. Went on from Montreal to various cities, ended up in New York.
Okay, what'd your parents do when you were a kid?
My parents ran after me a lot.
Yeah, I got it.
What did my dad do? He was a clothing manufacturer.
All right. Made suits and the like?
The like.
Yeah, good. But tell me the first time that you got the acting bug. So I sent away in the back of a box of cereal when we used to be able to do that. And I got a magic kit when I was a little kid. And I started doing magic for a living and paid my way through college.
Doing magic?
Yeah, I did magic for...
I did the same. I did magic by graduating, actually. That was my magic. I was very young. About the age of 6, I was in children's plays and never did anything else.
That's the same thing. I've always been on stage my whole life. It's fun. It's been a fun trip, hasn't it? Yeah, you've had a good one. Who would you say some of your earlier influences were? People you look like, I like Johnny Carson, Groucho Marx, those were mine.
Oh, there was a striptease artist named Louise C.
Oh, sure, of course. Wow, we got 43 more minutes. What you must have, this on TV?
Acting, right? If you mean actors.
Yes.
The same brilliant people that mostly everybody recognizes. Marlon Brando, of course, who's dead, and Laurence Olivier is a classical actor, were people I admired.
Did you ever get a chance to work with either of them?
No. Brando lived a couple miles from where I live, and somebody would say when I went to a store in the neighborhood, oh, Brando was just in here. God, I missed him. I really would like to meet him and talk to him.
Absolutely.
And I never felt comfortable doing it, a little shy about it.
He's almost beyond real, you know, he's bigger than life.
Well, he was bigger.
Yeah.
So I never got to meet either one of them, and to my regret, because it doesn't take very much to come up politely and say, I'd like to meet you. Sure. People do that all the time, and I regret not having done it.
All right. So I was looking through your IMDb, Internet Movie Database page, and I noticed one of your early films was Judgment in Nuremberg.
Yeah.
And I just came back. I was there 2 weeks ago, and it's just a great film.
In
Nuremberg. And so it interested me, so I looked that up, and Spencer Tracy, Burt Lancaster, Marlene Dietrich, Judy Garland. I mean, you were young back then.
Yeah.
What did that feel like working with these icons?
Well, they were the names. They were the Marlon Brandos that I wish I could meet. So I met them, and they were great talents. They were great entertainers, and yet the feat of play were there. All the accoutrements of living a long life were there, so that some of them were under the influence when they appeared on the set, and I was shocked. But they gave a performance, and I learned a great deal by watching. I was a young actor seated at a table while people came and went, and it was a great experience for me down there.
All right, well, I went back into, really did some research here, and you, in the beginning, so you went to Notre Dame to Grace High School, right? And this is all early on, but before
all that's not just
right. But one thing I wanted to know about was you're a trained actor, and you were in the Canadian rep for Shakespeare, true?
I was at the Shakespeare, Stratford Shakespeare Company for several years, yes.
Yeah, and so like today, a lot of people go, they're either do comedy and they want to be into TV or film. The training's just not there anymore.
Well, it must be like everything else, people in the audience and yourself, of course. To do something well, you have to learn to do it. You also have to make mistakes, so you know what not to do. I compete in horses a lot. I have quarter horses in which I compete as a reiner. And reining horses, you write a pattern, and there may be as many, and the last time I was in Las Vegas was over here at a place called South Point where they have equine facilities. And you compete, and the only way to learn to compete on a horse is to compete because you make mistakes. And only by making the mistakes can you think, oh, I better not do that again. Or now that I've done that, I better work at not doing that. And the last time I competed, for example, one of the parts of the pattern is you run almost 100 yards down to the far end of the arena and slide to a stop. You have to run to the far end. I'm on a very tough horse. I've got my hat pulled down and I'm focused, totally tunnel vision on the horse. And I run down and I come to tracks where other people had stopped. I come to a stop. Slide, beautiful slide. Well, I was on the wrong tracks. I should have stopped further down, but I was so tunnel vision that when I saw tracks, which were laid, because the rest of the pattern is you come halfway down and stop as well. I stopped in the wrong place. Now, I'm experienced. That never happened to me before. But because I was so focused on the horse and the immediate ground, rather than looking beyond
the big picture,
I made a mistake. I'll never make that mistake again. But I didn't win as I had expected to because of the mistake. So it's that kind of thing in training, in learning, that as an actor, and I'm sure in the same way, the way you do business in VeeamOn, you have to make mistakes to realize what the path is. And
not make those mistakes again.
And not make those mistakes again, which is what actors do by acting, realizing they've made a mistake and not do that again.
Right. It was a nice part about training. When I was at Second City, one of their things was you're going to make mistakes and we want you to.
Right. And if you make a mistake as an ad-lib artist, you use those mistakes to make something different that would not have happened if you had made it.
Right. What's one accomplishment you're most proud of?
Say that again?
One accomplishment you're most proud of?
An accomplishment I'm most proud of? Well, I wander around not being ashamed of what I'm doing, so I'm proud of a lot of things. But I'm proud just being here. I'm being proud of.
Did you do a lot for Habitat for Humanity?
I do a lot for Habitat for Humanity. Last time I was in Las Vegas, it was a horse. The time before that, a few months before that, I drove a motorcycle that I helped design from Chicago to Los Angeles. And it took us 8 days, and our last stop was here in Las Vegas before the final day to end in Los Angeles. We arrived in Las Vegas, and it was 115 degrees. And on the boulevard, with the reflection of all that steel and glass and cement, somebody said it could have been 125 degrees. It was so hot that the controls of the motorcycle and the tank of the motorcycle were so hot you couldn't touch them. So you had to move the gears. And in fact, I passed out for a split second when I got into the Harley-Davidson shop. But we made a whole ride that week, ending up in Los Angeles. I was shooting a documentary of the ride. We were saying, here's this new bike, the touring bike, that you guys should buy. And the American Legion was with us, so I was raising funds for the American Legion, their legacy fund, a scholarship fund for kids whose father or mother have been killed in action. So the American Legion has a charity for which I was raising money. All that took 8 days. And as I say, the last stop was here in Los Angeles. From here on, from Los Angeles on, from Las Vegas on, early in the morning, leaving Las Vegas in the cool of that late night to really 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get out of the desert before another 115 degree heat day would hit by the time I got to Los Angeles. I was filled with the pride of having accomplished that ride, have done all those things, and I was still breathing. And one other aspect to that pride of accomplishment was the fact that in riding a bike on the freeways, you're jeopardized all the time. Trucks, cars, everybody's out there to kill you. You get really afraid of everything. At the same time that your life is being challenged, you're aware of the air, the heat, and the noise, and the wind, and the smell. You become so alive along a motorcycle ride. And if you ask me what am I proud of, I point to that ride as an accomplishment that was very unusual.
Excellent. So you said you helped design that bike. I understand. Are you still doing the cinematic graphic novel? Is that still?
Well, this coming Sunday, Stan Lee, who is a big name. Okay, I don't have to tell you a name. And I presume everybody out there knows Stan Lee as a comic book hero. So I've known Stan quite a while, and some time ago, I've written several novels, and this one novel called Man of War, somebody came to me and said they wanted to make a comic book of Man of War, and I thought that was a really good idea. We started making the comic book. Then I had an idea that instead of it just being a comic book, I would run a camera over the panels. There would still be the bubbles of explanation of dialogue, but the panels would be revealed as like those Civil War pictures that Burns exposed. You come across a photograph, but it's like a movie because you're revealing as the camera trails across. It comes across and it sees your face, and it sees the screen, and it sees the audience, and there's a movement. There's a revelation going on.
Not just a static.
It's not a static cartoon. It's motion picture. But it's not. It's a comic book in motion picture. And there's music and there's sound effects behind it. So somewhere between an animated film and a comic book lies the cinematic graphic novel. And on Sunday at Stan Lee's Comic-Con. It's not Comic-Con, it's Kamikaze-Con.
Okay.
It's Stan Lee's thing. And we're going to introduce the second chapter of the cinematic graphic novel called Man of War.
This Sunday?
This coming Sunday.
Oh, okay. Has that been fun, exciting, something different for you? Because it's
Huge.
I've never seen anything like it.
No,
I watched the trailer online.
It's a new idea.
Right. Good. That's something else.
What else do you want?
I got 1,000 stupid questions, but
So far, you've gotten through 3.
See, before you came out there, I had them on my side.
I know. But it was an effort to shift them on my side.
Yeah, I know. You did
And
well.
they're very volatile. They can be on your side momentarily.
All right. So jokes, you tell party jokes or anything? So I can
Party jokes.
If I stand up I usually have I'd put a $100 bill in my pocket, and
Yeah.
I would have people in the audience try to stump me, and if they could tell me a joke and I didn't know the punchline, I would give them $100 because I kind of collect jokes, and I've been telling jokes my whole life.
I'm an actor with memories. I do a one-man show. I was in Las Vegas. I played Las Vegas with my one-man show more than once, actually, at a theater and at a club. And I memorized enormous numbers of words. 2 hours on stage by myself
A lot.
talking. It's a lot. I can't remember a joke. Somebody tells me a joke, a minute later, what the hell was the joke? There's one joke I do remember. No, I'm not.
Question number 4, just across that line.
That's stupid question number 4. So the joke is that for some reason I remember, and I don't know why. Maybe because it has to do with death.
Oh, it's a funny topic.
Yeah. So this lady who is of a certain age prays to God and says, God, I want to do face work. I want to get some face work done, but I don't know whether I'm going to die soon or not to do the face work. Is it worth doing the face work? And she gets the answer from God. God says, do the face work. She goes into the hospital. She gets it all lifted. It takes months. Finally, she emerges. Beautiful. Incredible. She looks 30 years younger. Steps into the street, gets hit by a bus, and is killed. She goes to heaven. She sees God. Says, God, why did you kill me? You told me you told me to get the face work. Why did you kill me? God said, I didn't recognize you. That's a good joke.
That's a great joke. That's a good joke.
I'm doing stand-up now.
No, I couldn't. I'm just gonna leave it. Ever have a crush on a celebrity?
Oh,
I'm sure a lot of them.
crush.
I used to like Marianne on Gilligan's Island.
Marianne.
Remember Marianne? A lot of people like Ginger. I was a Marianne girl. Remember Gilligan's Island?
Yeah, but that was.
Well, I'm just saying, like, celebrity. Like,
What about now?
What about now? I don't know, Jessica Alba still kind of does it for me.
Jessica Alba?
Yeah, she's darling. Yeah. I don't know.
Can you analyze somebody by the questions like that?
I don't know. I just wonder. And
Well,
did you ever have one and then get to meet her?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Not a stupid question. All right. Let's see.
Well, let's talk about science and let's talk about what these people are doing here at this convention and what they're.
Okay. I have some questions like that.
Well, I mean,
What do you want to talk about? Let's
no, I mean, here's the subject. Here's science.
Absolutely.
Look at this. This is advanced science. Accessing material, accessing data, preserving it,
Making it available.
making it available, and guarding it, and being there 24 hours a day. You know, electronics is part of the electrical revolution, if you will. Of the, I mean, there is the electronic evolution that's going on that we all obviously are aware of. And in the forefront are our iPhones and iPads, and I'm going to give a speech to the University of British Columbia in a few weeks. And what I thought the subject would be was the uniqueness of all of us, how we are all different, but not just different like you're wearing a green shirt, which looks wonderful.
It's being green.
Oh, being green. It's terrible. Bad for the bad color, it reflects, gives you a greenish hue.
You realize who's paying you, don't you?
Yeah. But not for the color of the shirt, for the excellence of their material.
I think it's a great color.
Okay. You don't like to check the box for that. So my speech would be about how all individuals are unique, but when we say, oh, you're different, I mean really different. Physically, internally, your brain, your perception is individual. What you are seeing out there and what I'm seeing out there is quite different. They like me, they don't like you. But you're different internally.
They like us both, but in a different way.
There you go. That's such a much kinder way of putting it. It's not at all the Trump way. But we're different internally as well. The very bugs inside us.
Absolutely.
So that medicine is individualized. When this electronic revolution goes on, we will find medicine individualized, so that the pill you take will be different from the pill I take, based on the fact that you will accept the medicine, your body will accept the medicine differently than I. And I think that applies to education as well. That why don't we, in some manner, we need to individualize education, so that you get a general education in your public schools and high school, and even going to college and getting the bachelor's degree, you got a general education. But I picked up a car in Philadelphia some time ago, and I put a Sirius radio stations in it, because my wife and I were going to be in the car for 4 days, 24-hour day, driving cross country. So I thought, I love my wife, we've been married 15 years, and time could hang heavy. You might want to hear, Donald Trump give a speech. So we never got to open the radio because we had our little phones, and in that phone, in all that data, is everything that man has ever invented.
Unbelievable.
Well, there's a whole library. I used to sell the Encyclopedia Britannica door to door. Massive numbers of Encyclopedia Britannica. But beyond that, is anything you ever wanted to know is in this phone. So as we drove across the country, Civil War, well, what was the Civil War? How was it? Where was it? Mountaintop, what are Indian signals? Where did the smoke? All those things, the most remote pieces of information are now available to us. So is our individualized education being brought about by the very things everybody in this room is working on? Is the medicine we know is coming? Doctors are now examining our gut flora to see how we will assimilate the medication. But when a child says, I'm interested in shoe leather, can we then say, well, leather and cows and how the tannin process, and can we individualize that education for each child to cultivate the curiosity that makes the individualized education. And it's all involved in data. It's all involved in bringing up the data that's lodged in these wonderful servers.
And it's got to be there all the time.
And protected.
Good. Yeah, I completely forgot about the green comment. Right there, right on you. All right, so you've been able to connect with audiences your whole life. And like, as you said, technology has brought more channels for connecting fans to your work. You can see anything probably you've done in your career.
I try to avoid that.
But I bet any people can. Don't you think they can go?
Yeah, but I can't even imagine somebody looking at themselves saying, "Oh, look how wonderful I am." It just doesn't.
Right, but your fans want to see. I could go back online. I could see you in the Trials of Nuremberg. I could go on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, being all that stuff. How do you feel the way technology has made you evolve over the years?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, you started in science fiction early on for television.
Yes.
And you're still doing it now with these graphic novels.
I've got a novel. I've got 2 novels coming out this year. One on the death of one of my friendship with Leonard Nimoy, a book about friendship, male friendship. And the other is a science fiction novel called Zero G. I'm working with a wonderful author who's co-writing the book with me, Jeff Roven. And there is such a multitude of laboratory possibilities that in the science fiction mind can be brought to reality so that it becomes something you can function with. I just finished The Martian, the book. I haven't seen the movie. The Martian is filled with scientific possibilities that this the author thinks of. And the whole book is...
Did you like it?
Well, it's all about measuring and weighing and trying to plot out how many calories he's going to have for the year that he's... I mean, it's a lot of... It's filled with jeopardy, but the jeopardy is resolved by scientific mechanical means.
Okay.
Here's how I fix the battery. You know, I got 3 liters of water and I put 2 pieces of salt. So it's a limited, you know, it's only appeals to a limited audience, although I understand the movie has eliminated all that. But my book, Zero G, has got a good plot and jeopardy, but there's so many interesting laboratory possibilities that in the science fiction mind becomes reality. And that's what happened on Star Trek. In Star Trek and the science fiction at the time, there were actual scientists. Some of the writers were actually scientists who wrote about what they knew was posited in a laboratory, but not yet fact.
So some of it, what they knew was coming.
They knew was coming.
Some of it maybe what they thought.
They thought was coming.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
And in one instance, the transmitter, Motorola, took the design.
Is that the razor?
Huh?
Is that the razor?
That was it. Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like it.
So I was brought to that awareness when I was in a airport. And I flipped it open and I was talking to my wife, and the crowd gathered around and did just that. It was brought up again and again how much Star Trek was in advance, that took these concepts by these great science fiction writers and made them at least toys that ultimately became real.
So that was one thing. Anything else? Do you know what was from Star Trek or some of that early stuff that's come to fruition?
Yeah, the Navy came and measured the angle of the desks that had all the instruments as ergonomics that might fit the Navy.
That's interesting.
there are books written about what it would take to do a warp engine. Almost all the energy of the sun would be needed to do that. So theoretically, it's possible. Theoretically, actually, they have transported a molecule from one electrode to another. So if that, in theory, you could transmit. No,
Somebody showed up right behind us. I was not a good sign.
That is not a good sign.
That's not a good sign at all.
So if they can transmit a molecule, then theoretically, it's possible to transport.
Right.
But the advent of quantum physics has shown us that no matter what we think of, reality is so far more stranger and more bizarre than we can possibly imagine.
So I know something from Star Trek that was completely cutting edge that you were involved with that now is commonplace.
What is that?
When you kissed a hero.
I know.
The first time African American and Caucasian kissed on television. Is that true? Yeah. It's pretty impressive right there. I mean, when you think about it now, it's nothing. Must have been a huge backlash back then.
She was beautiful, yes. Really unusual here.
I lost it for a second. Did you see?
She's in that girl. Yeah.
But you must have had there was some probably backlash in the media on
I
that.
had backlash. I got the scars on my back.
Yeah, or did you?
No. A couple of stations in the South at that time were reluctant to show that particular show, but it was.
It still was a first.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Well. Let's
got all sorts of stuff. Let's see what I got.
Let me talk then about how people were affected by Star Trek and science fiction.
Sure.
For example, I wanted to do a documentary, which I was calling The Five Captains. So I was going to do a documentary on the 5 people who played captains of the spaceship. There were several iterations of Star Trek.
5 actors, right?
Right. So that meant I had to fly a bit, like around the world to get to these people, to interview them as the 5 captains. And what it would cost for airfare was more than I had to make the whole job. So on the strangest, like you pulling those magical figures out of the envelope when the guy said, Captain Crunch and 37 in Japanese, that sign, By the way, that was Japanese for 50, not 37. But in any case. On some intuition, I'm being Canadian, I called the great airplane manufacturer in Canada, Bombardier, and I just picked up the phone and called Bombardier and said, can I speak to the CEO? And he got on the phone, and I said, I'm Shatner, and he said, well, I'm glad to talk to you. And I said, here's why I'm calling. I need an airplane to take me all over the place. I'm shooting this thing on Star Trek. And he says, you got it.
Wow.
And he lent me an airplane. They picked me up in Los Angeles, and I flew to Toronto to pick up a Canadian crew and met the CEO of Bombardier, who then proceeded to tell me the reason he was lending me the airplane was because, as a boy, he became interested in aeronautics, viewing Star Trek, pursued that career, became a top aeronautical engineer, became head of this company, and in gratitude, he's lending me a plane.
That's a great story.
Isn't that a great story?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So that Star Trek, the legacy of Star Trek is, I'm sure, among the remnants of what was once a large audience. Some of them were affected by Star Trek and it changed their life one way or another.
That's great, and you know, you have a lot of people that know you from a lot of different things. Star Trek through Boston Legal and your film out, all that work right there. How would you personally like to be remembered?
How would I like to be remembered? I faced a Hobson's choice when I had been asked to be part of a large fundraising thing for the American Red Cross that was taking place in Miami. And I was getting ready to go when my friend Leonard Nimoy died. And I was faced with the choice of canceling this engagement to raise a lot of money for Red Cross, or to pay homage the next day to my dead friend. And I chose to go to the Red Cross thing because I had promised to be there. People had bought tickets and given money to the Red Cross on the chance of hearing me say something. And what I said to the audience was that fame and renown, no matter how, what heights you may reach, is so ephemeral that within the shortest period of time, whether it's a day, a week, a month, a year, 5 years, rarely does anybody remember beyond a short period of time. Life goes on. But what is remembered, not in the mind, but in the action of it, is a good deed that you, like you people here this evening, I'm talking to the people of the Red Cross Fund, have given money that will reverberate. You're helping people, and those people will help people, and this good deed that you've done tonight will reverberate for ages, for the ages. Life will be different for large numbers of people. The butterfly effect. This one deed will reverberate in this pond of life. And that's where I think we all will be remembered, by doing something good for somebody else that will, although your name will not be remembered, the deed and the effect of the deed will be remembered.
Kind of going back to what you were saying, yeah. Kind of tying it back to the beginning about what these people do, and also what an individual's education might end up. We don't know what they're creating right now, what kind of effect that's going to have for the future of children with data, with keeping things all designed.
That's exactly right.
Right.
The two-sided sword, the two-edged sword of this electronic knowledge that I watch my grandkids buried in it, lacking, hey, speak to me. Well, I'm too busy into the phone. We're going to become a species that have lost the sense of communicating.
Right.
At the same time, the same instrument is the means of literally going to the stars.
Right. And trying to find some way where that's what time both ends.
Exactly.
Right. When my kids come home and I get to put their phones and their iPads in the basket.
In the basket?
Yeah, at 9 o'clock we charge them up and they can have the next day. But we have dinner together.
That's great.
Talk to us. So they hate me too. I know.
Are you getting a signal?
No. I'm just thinking. So you are known for a lot of different things. And I think of you, when I asked what your legacy was, I think of you as a guy who's just having a good time in his career. Whenever I see you on TV, when I see you in an interview, when I see you interviewing somebody, it's a great show you do. I just feel like you're eating up life. You're having that's what I would remember. But Your fame, I'm sure, walking through the casino, walking down the street, going into Starbucks. Like VeeamOn, are you always on, or do you get some downtime?
Well, you know, facing an audience, the guy came into the room with a camera. I had a room, a little green room, and he was shooting. And I said, don't shoot me here. And he continued to shoot. Stop the camera. He wouldn't stop the camera. That's an intrusion. But that kind of intruding audience thing is rare. For me, at my age, and hearing the footsteps behind, I don't dare look behind me, but the scythe might be right there. I'm consumed with the joy of life. I'm consumed with the love of everything around me, my family, my wife, kids, grandkids, the horses, the dogs. The joy of life is all around me. The clouds hanging over. I mean, the last time I was here in Las Vegas, 115 degrees. The heat, the searing heat itself was an experience. An experience. So much so that with these group of veteran riders, American Legion riders who have been in the wars, who said, this ride is worse than packing 70 pounds on their back and climbing a mountain. These great soldiers were having a tough time, but I was experiencing it. And I was struck again by the need to remember how quickly life goes by. It's an instant, and all of a sudden, where did it go? And that's a cliche, but I'm here to tell you it's the truth. That cliche is the truth. Time goes by, life goes by so quickly, and every moment needs to be appreciated, good or bad. I'm suffering, but in this suffering, I'm living. That's an age-old tenet.
Life without a few scars is a
Well, I mean,
life.
the very act, I want to speak. I haven't suffered like what we're talking about. Like what's going on in
so many parts of the world.
In so many parts of the world where people are leaving their homes and they're lying in the ground in the beginning of winter, no cover, their children suffering. But apparently it's part of life. And if you can have some kind of objectivity, both about the good and the bad, and realize you're living your journey and to appreciate every moment. That's what I'm in that's the frenzy that I'm in the middle of.
Right. We're just about out of time here. Knowing what these people do, what they're going to go out, they're young, they're on the cutting edge of what's going on out there. From your experiences through life.
Well, let me tell you what I mean, everybody here is, I presume, is working in the electronic industry in one form or another. And that's really good, and it's advanced, and it's the time of the future. But what we really need to take with us, all of us, along with this joy of life, is the absolute concrete realization that what we're doing to the world, what we're doing to the earth, and the air and the water, is so toxic that as a species, I'm going to tell it to you straight, because I work a lot with futurists, and they've lost hope. The tipping point has been reached. Maybe if we were able to do something about carbon dioxide, or inventing something that would take the toxicity out of it, maybe science can rescue us. But every single human being has got to know that we've got to do something about what's happening, the poisoning of the earth. We've got to do something. It isn't like we've buried our head in the sand for long enough. Now we have to face up to it. Things are changing, and we as a species, life will continue. And in 10,000 years, there'll be other forms of life here. The earth and nature will continue. But as a species, we're in danger. And we have to think about that and do something about it every day. That's my message.
All right, good, good. Last thing, what's your plan going forward? What's your next project? What do you see for the future for you?
I've got a new series on NBC called Better Late Than Never. Beyond this in the winter. It was great fun. One of my bucket lists was, because I'm working with George Foreman and Terry Bradshaw among them. I wanted to catch a pass from Terry Bradshaw. I caught a pass. I wanted to box with George Foreman. He almost knocked me out.
I've always just wanted to grill a hamburger with him.
Well, I started saying, now where were you on the night of?
Yeah, right.
That's a Foreman Grill.
Oh.
Right.
Took a second. My favorite one of them.
Right. And the one I did, nobody got it either. There was like, why would that's such an obvious joke? And did 2 books and I'm busy now.
Good.
I got a lot of stuff.
Good. Still eating up life. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Shatner. Let's give him a nice hand.